Okay, so I have a few things planned for you. So, so since you said you want to look out for jobs, I thought I'll take this session like this. Like, we will do a brief overview of what Kronos is and what human capital management is, and then I'll give
Okay,
you an overview of how the application works. So we'll
okay,
just go through the basics first, like how the application works, what are the tasks, and what the client would expect from you, or if you're going for interviews, what people would expect from you. So in order to cover that, I'll have to first tell you how Kronos works, like why Kronos is made and what all things you can go do with it. So I'll give a brief overview of that. So in the next classes, we'll go through all the setup modules, like we'll configure labor levels, and then we'll configure all payrolls, including pay codes, rounding rules, work rules, holidays, zones, etc. And then we'll see how a payroll is created. And then we'll go with accruals, scheduling, and then I'll give you an overview of the navigator setup, like how this navigator is set up. And
okay.
at the last, I'll give you a brief overview of forecasting and scheduling and some SQL reporting where you can, create reports for your clients. That's an
Okay.
added advantage. If you know reporting, that's a very good advantage because you will be able to get so much information from the database. We have reports in
Yeah.
Kronos, but that doesn't have all the data. So we'll also do some SQL coding. Do you have experience with SQL? Have you done
Uh,
SQL coding?
no.
No, okay, no problem. We'll go with the basics and then we'll see how integration manager works with Kronos. I'll just give you an
Okay.
overview of all these. And as we go into the further classes, if you have any questions, you can let me know and we will discuss it in the next class.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we'll see what WFM is first. And these are the topics that I have in this presentation. So this is the first part of today's session. Okay, so you must have heard of these two terms very frequently, WFM and HCM. WFM stands for Workforce Management. So Kronos is a workforce management tool. We use this to optimize people and processes, for a stronger bottom line. Uh, by this, what I mean to say is we have few employees. So we have a company where few employees are coming to punch in and they'll have some skill sets, right? So we can use Kronos to schedule the right person to do the right job. Like if we want somebody to work in the engineering section, we can pick up those people with the skills and we can put them in that job. And if you want them to be transferred to a technical role, you can do that using Kronos as well. We generally use workforce management because people run the company, like our employees run the company. But if we don't have an effective strategy, we will not be able to use them properly to do all the jobs. So when we use workforce management, it optimizes all this and it creates a strong strategy where you can use it to streamline the process so you can enhance your profits and increase your margins. uh, so there's another term called the HCM, called the Human Capital Management. HCM stands for Human Capital Management. So HCM is nothing but a set of practices in an organization that's used to recruit or manage, develop, and optimize employees to increase value to the company. So in Kronos, we have something called as Workforce Ready that does all these things. And there's a separate tool called Workforce Timekeeping or the Workforce Central Suite, which comes under this workforce management. And that part of Kronos has all this time and attendance, scheduling, accruals, etc. Uh, so this is the difference. So why we use Kronos? Kronos says that they help us to control labor costs. It's a good way to minimize compliance risks, and it also improves workforce productivity. Okay, so these are some other advantages Kronos says that they offer. So it's completely automated. So end-to-end automation is available, right? From adding an employee from his hire to his termination, you can do everything in Kronos, and it's very easy to maintain. You just have to get the package from there. You basically pay for the licenses. That's how you get Kronos. So there's licenses for each and everything. Say like workforce timekeeper has license, like if you want an employee to view his screen in Kronos, or if you want him to do basic activities like request vacation, etc., so he needs a license to log in. Similarly, a manager needs a manager license to log into Kronos to view his employees and to manage work. So the second thing is with real-time access to detailed information from Kronos, managers can make better informed business decisions. And uh, Kronos says that uh, it gives a very strong start for early success through partnership and like you when you get this you get sorry when you get a package or when you get this Kronos installed at your workplace, Kronos also gives you some support wherein you can reach out to them with any questions that you have. Sometimes there are some backend issues that you'll not be able to solve even though you might have been an architect. So in those cases, Kronos steps up and it helps you work smarter. Kronos also helps you better manage your multi-generational workforce. Like I said, from hire to retire, everything can be done. And they have solutions with HCM capabilities that are designed to address critical HCM trends as navigating new compliance rules and employee engagement. So this comes under workforce ready, but we don't look in workforce ready because it's a completely different suite. So we will look at what workforce timekeeper is. So what is Kronos? So we saw the general definition for HCM and WFM. So we'll see what Kronos is. So Kronos is a web-based time collection system. A Kronos user can be a manager, an employee, or both. So a bundle, the Kronos software bundle is called the Workforce Central Suite. So a bundle means you'll get a time clock to install at your place. You'll get modules like timekeeping, accruals, scheduling, data setup, etc. So uh, so let's see some activities that we can do here. So time worked and leave time is collected through a variety of methods, such as you swipe a badge on the time clock, it takes your in time and out time, or you can have a desktop at your front end where employees can just do a timestamp, a simple click, like log in on the system and do a simple click, or you can have a kiosk where they can log in and do a simple in and out, or you have biometrics. So that's how you put your in time in Kronos. Kronos also provides pay reps and supervisors with a variety of tools to help them manage employers and payrolls. Kronos generates pay files based on set of rules assigned to the employees, which can be configured according to the existing functioning rules of the organization. So so I'll explain this a bit. So how this works is so when an employee is punching in, based on the setup that you do, like based on the payroll calculations that you do, like you set up how this employee time has to be interpreted. If he's working as 8 hours, what is his break time? How many hours should I count towards overtime? How much hours should I pay as a bonus? So all this calculation you set up at the back end based on the requirements, and that's how the final pay gets generated. Like Kronos keeps calculating the pay codes for an entire week, and at the end of the week it gets sent to the payroll. They review and they send it to the customer, like the payment application that pays the employee. So we'll go through this in the second half of this session. And Kronos also helps in hiring, asset management, and it also predicts future workforce through its workforce management solutions according to organization needs. So Kronos has some module called as forecasting. So in retail-based customers, say Puma or Adidas, so they're based on last month's sales. Forecasting can analyze based on current trends. Like it can analyze if there is based on the weather conditions or like how much sales has done, it will tell you how much you might need to sell for this month and the next month. So we have such modules. So I've added three important modules in Kronos here. So one is time and attendance. This is the most basic and root module. So this is a very simplified tracking software, and it works along with the Kronos timekeeping, Kronos data collection devices. So this is nothing but all the payrolls and the data collection system. So the next module is scheduling. So scheduling is like you will create shifts and shift patterns which you can apply to an employee. Like you don't have to go to each and every employee to put a shift. You can group employees. You might be knowing who will be coming in the work night shift or who will be coming in the morning shift. So based on that, you can apply a pattern to them. A pattern in sense, morning shift for this week, night shift for the next week, etc. So that's how scheduling works. Absent management is nothing but your attendance and leave, where it's a point based system. So for example, if I come late today and I come late continuously 4 days in this week, so I'll be awarded a point. If I collect more than 5 or 6 points in a month, I can be sent a discipline letter. So this is going to affect my work. This is just a simple setup. I'm just giving this as an example. So you can set up something like this based on the requirements that you get. Okay, so these are the modules in the Workforce Central suite. So the first is time and attendance, we discussed earlier. Data collection, it's nothing but a time clock that you install in your companies, where employee can go swipe in, swipe out, or they can request for transfers, and they can ask for vacations, etc. One second. Okay, I'm sorry. The next is absence management. We just saw this. Forecasting and scheduling. Forecasting is going to predict how much labor or how many employees you need um, to do this job based on your previous trends. Activities is nothing but it's related to something called as bidding. Like you can bid for a job in your company, an open shift or a schedule. Analytics is more of reporting, more of a very colorful reporting that you display on screen or in Kronos with graphs, etc. HR and payroll is a different suite. It's mostly used by HR and payroll. Like HR can give in all the employee information, like they can enter all the hire date or the address or when the probation is going to end for the employee, all that information. And payroll is usually the last step. Payroll can analyze how many hours this employee has worked and how much time he's going to get paid for. And recruiting is the normal HR process where people are selected and they are hired to do the job. Okay, so the next is the Kronos architecture. Architecture is nothing but how the system is working at the back end. We just see the front end application, so we'll just see how this system works. So the first step is I'm going to swipe in on the time clock. So my time is getting entered. My time is getting captured by the system. It is getting stored in the workforce database system. Sorry, I'm really sorry. It's a database that belongs to the Workforce Central. So database is nothing but it stores all the information in the form of tables. So from this database only we will be using SQL queries to write a query and get the information we want. But database is nothing but a storage device to store all the information, and information is generally stored in tables with columns. Like you have column headings, like it gets stored like person name, person number and badge number, employee in, out, etc. So when I swipe in, it's going to get stored here. And this database can be connected to multiple sources. For example, I have a HR system. I have a different HR system. So when a newcomer is joining the company, the HR can add all their information to a different application, and from that database, Kronos database can get the information, and that can be shared into Workforce Central. So mostly what happens is Kronos will not be used for HR and payroll. So generally what happens is HR might use some other application like Workday, etc., to capture all the information, like when this employee is joining, what is his personal details, etc., and that information is getting sent to Workforce Central, that is Kronos. So this can be either done via database to database, or we use Workforce Integration Manager to do this. Like integration manager is more easier to do, and you can monitor the results in Workforce Central application. So that's how your employee information gets sent in. You punch in, so the database knows that this person has punched in at this time. It gets sent to the application. I'll just show you the application in a minute. So it gets sent to the application where you can, if you are a manager, you can view the time cards of other employees, and you'll be able to see this person has punched in at this time. And then you can use interfaces to send the payroll information to the payroll processing app. So it will be a different app like Ceridian or another bank, etc. So what information gets sent to payroll is the hours that an employee have worked, in which pay code, and the amount for it. So that information gets sent, and you can also create reports other than the reports that are already there in the system. You can create new reports based on the Workforce Central suite, and you can also use interfaces to create email alerts. For example, like the attendance one, like I said, so if I am found to be tardy, like if I'm found to be having indiscipline, or like if I'm not coming on time to office, I'll be sent email alerts to let me know that I am in some disciplinary issues within the organization, and that my HR is aware of it. So I have some technical specifications over here. So the user interface that Kronos uses it's completely based on Java server pages or HTML. Before version 8, they used to have we need to have Java installed in the system to access the application. But from 8, it's totally Java free. You don't have to have any Java, because otherwise there used to be monthly updates to Java. Otherwise, your organization could say that you are in some vulnerability for some risks from the system, from the internet. So you'll have to keep updating every 3 months once, I guess, for the Java thing. But now it's totally Java free, and the database can be accessed via Oracle or SQL. So I'll teach you SQL coding, like basic queries, how you can do. And you can do reporting, like you can once you coding is just going to give you on-screen results for you. But if you want that to be implemented in Kronos, you can use something called as Crystal reports and SQL reports, or Microsoft SQL Server reporting, like SSRS. The application server is Microsoft IIS. The interface to Kronos can only be done via Kronos's interface or your PL SQL. And the Kronos interface tool is called the Workforce Integration Manager. And the last one is the Workforce Device Manager. So these are the in-touch clocks. This is an in-touch clock. It just looks like a tab, but a heavy one that's put on the clock. This is in-touch. There's also a different model called 4500 that resembles a telephone. That doesn't have a touch screen on it, but I think mostly everybody would have moved to InTouch by now. So why Kronos is famous is it's a domain independent technology. Like it has its own product for each and every domain that's very dominating. So it has domain. It can suit, or it can be used in retail, healthcare, manufacturing, or any major domains. And this suite can be customized according to domain requirements. Like you can you can make this Kronos work according to retail. Like you can for example, forecasting is used only by retail. Like only retail wants to know how much they've sold last week and how much they want to sell next week. Healthcare and manufacturing don't want to do that. So this can be catered to all domains. Like you can specifically set this up for any domain. You just have to make sure that you know the basics, and you'll be able to match any industry with this. So these are the products. These are the products that are available in the suite. Workforce Integration Manager is shortly called as WIM, and WIM is the interfacing tool, like that's going to either get data from inside of Kronos to a different system, or it can get data into Kronos, like from an outside system. Workforce Device Manager is a device manager is the clocks and data collection. Workforce record manager is going to shuttle between two applications within Kronos, like a development and a production. Workforce scheduler is your scheduling. Forecast planner is the forecasting option that I said, and it works in tandem with scheduling. Workforce operations planner is something similar to activities, and that's used for bidding within organizations. Like employees can bid for any open jobs and they can get transferred to the job. They can make some extra money with that. And the last one is workforce absence manager, which contains both attendance and leave. Leave is you can apply your leaves well in advance, and attendance is you can calculate tardy and disciplinary actions. You can tackle disciplinary actions within the organization. So that's it in my first introduction. So we will see an overview of tasks. Before that, I will show you a demo of the application. Okay, so this is the Kronos application that I have. This is version 8.1. It's almost the latest. So you can see the version over here. It says 8.1.9, or you can also go and set up and check. I'll show you in a bit. So when I'm opening my Kronos, my page looks like this, but it can look different for you. And that's the way we will set it up. Like we can customize it for anybody who wants to use it. Like if a manager wants to see time cards and schedules, we can set up the widgets like that. So this is called the workspace. So this administration over here, this space is called the workspace, and this part, the first part, the quick event part, is called a widget, and this is another widget, and both these are active. Like I can search for an employee here, and then I can once I go to his people record, I'll be able to find his payroll information. So if I get an issue saying that there's something wrong with his payroll, like his overtime is not set correct, I can just go to setup and check it. I don't have any information set it up now, but as we go forward, like I'll be giving you tasks, so you'll be setting these things, and we will discuss it in the next classes. So this is how widgets work. And this on the extreme right is called the related items pane. So it has other related actions that I can find helpful for my workspace. So this is an overview of the tool. And going back to our tasks. So there are four major things that acts as a overview to Kronos. So the first is called the punch to payroll process. So the first thing is the HR or the payroll application sends employee data to workforce timekeeper. That's called the Kronos application. Basic data will be sent, like his badge number, his employee name, his label levels. Label levels in the sense, like say I am working in an organization called A. A has some subdivisions called engineering, production, manufacturing, etc. Under engineering, there'll be some other division, right? So these are called as label levels, starting from the topmost to the bottom. And Kronos allows you to have 7, and they recommend that you use all those 7 label levels. So we'll be seeing it in the next class, how we are going to set up the label levels. So first thing is the HR payroll application sends employee data to workforce timekeeper. Employee time is collected and it is sent to workforce timekeeper again via the badges. Once he finishes, employee or he or she finishes his job for the day, they can log in the system and they can check, review or edit or make approvals to the time card. So once it is approved, only once it is approved, payroll will be able to process it. So if an employee has not approved his time card, the payroll will not be able to process it. So And okay, so employee approves and payroll signs off the time cards, and uh, payroll is processed by the customer's payroll application. And Kronos also has workforce payroll, but most I haven't seen many customers use it. Like, it's very few people who use it. So it's generally sent to a third party system that they've already been following since long. So this is the punch to payroll process, like how a punch is processed from the punch time to the end, the payroll process. The second is, we'll see how what employee tasks are. These are fairly simple. Like, all an employee has to do is he has to clock in and out, and he can request for vacation or sick time. He can view his scheduled time, and once his work is done for the week, and this by this week I mean, there are some companies want to pay their employees weekly, some want to pay bi-weekly, some want to pay monthly. So at the end of the pay period is nothing but the period that you choose to pay, like your weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. So once the pay period is done, employees get to review and approve their time card, and once payroll processes, they'll be getting their pay. The next is manager tasks. So in manager tasks, there'll be a manager will be reviewing the employee time cards. Um, like, if there are any missing punches, like sometimes the badge might have not worked, or sometimes the employee might have forgotten to punch out. So in those cases, the employee can go and manually add the punch in the time cards, and he can add a comment saying that employee forgot, or badge not working, some comment, some of the other comment, so payroll can verify it. They can enter non-work time. Like, for example, if I don't have sorry, I have some site work, so I'm not able to punch into the company. In that cases, the manager can simply put in 8 or 9 hours for the employee. He can review the schedules, he can change employee schedules, and finally he can review and approve overtime, and he can also perform transfers within the company. So this is manager task. And the final thing is the payroll manager tasks. So as a payroll manager, they can update and add new employee records. They can terminate employees in the system. They can monitor, review, and submit time cards to payroll for processing pay. Like, once an employee approves, manager approves, the final thing is the payroll has to approve. They'll simply be checking like how many hours has been clocked for this week or this month, how many overtime is there. So simply they'll check all those things, and they'll send this information across. And they also process payroll and make corrections to the pay periods. So these are the general overview tasks in Kronos. So if you are going to work as an admin in Kronos, there are five important phases. So the first one is you will be gathering requirements. So this is called as the first phase. So what you'll be doing is you'll be sitting with the company's HR, and you'll be discussing like what type of employees are going to be there in the system. Are they going to be hourly employees or salaried employees? Salaried employees are usually the front office employees. Like, you give them a fixed salary, like it's not based on hourly, it's just a monthly salary, like say 10,000 or 20,000. So those are salary. And hourly employees will be getting paid based on the number of hours they work. So HR will be saying that for this group of employees, I want to pay them at this rate, say 20 rupees per hour. But if they exceed 8 hours, I want them to be paid 40 or 50 rupees per hour. So those kind of informations you gather in the system. And the second phase is you have to identify the right tool to use. Uh, so if they say that they want to track employees promptness, like are they coming on time, are they leaving on time, etc. So you can't be using workforce timekeeper for that, you'll have to use workforce attendance for that. And uh, similarly, like if they want to view schedules, or if they just want to assign schedules, or simply some people just want to pay OT, some companies just want to work on the overtime thing. So in that case, you'll be using timekeeping to track the overtime hours, and you'll be sending it across to payroll. So the second phase is to identify what tool you need to be using. The third phase is you'll be configuring the tool. Configuring is where this whole setup comes to play. So this setup is like the heart of the Kronos system. So we have different modules in here. So when I scroll down to the bottom is the pay policies or the pay rules area, where you set up how an employee is going to get paid. So that's the configuring tool. So mostly people will be having a development system and a production system. So you will be using the development system to test all your knowledge on it, test all the setup, and then you will be moving it to production. And we have something called as a setup data manager. That's a very simple tool that can help transfer all your work uh, things from dev to prod. And the fourth one is the testing phase, where you test everything you've done. Some companies have a middle QA team, quality analysis team, or the quality audit team to test all the changes you've made. But mostly Kronos consultants test their own things, and they ask the HR to test it. And the final thing is deploy. You deploy your changes to the production. So these are the 5 phases when you're working as an admin. So any questions so far? We are done with overview. So the next step for us would be to configure the labor levels and the pay policies, which we'll be doing from tomorrow. I'll give a very small overview of labor levels today, though.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'll say that as an yes. Oh, thanks, Midhan. So as I was saying, this is the setup page. So this setup is where you're going to set how your employee is going to view his screen, how a manager is going to view a screen. Okay, before that, there's something called as the super user access. A super user is somebody who can do all the setup in the information, and he has access to almost all the system configuration setup as well. And he decides he can control what other people can view in Kronos. So there's something called as system configuration. It will show you system information and the system settings. So system information is nothing but it will show you how many servers you have. This is a one place where you can view all the servers that you have. So we have one server over here, the applications that are installed. So here we have integration manager, but we don't have the suite for it. Like I don't have the application to work on the Vim. I have mobile, I have attendance, I have device. Workforce employee is how an employee is going to access the system. Accruals, activities, forecast, leave. And I can view the database connection over here in case there's an issue. Like sometimes if there's a database issue and if you're not able to connect when you're trying to access the time cards, it will throw an error on the message on the screen saying that the database cannot be reached out now. So you can just come here and check if the database is active or not. So this is the place where I can check for licenses. Like I already said, this is a license-based application. You have to buy licenses for each and every user that you're going to use. So once your licenses is coming to an end, the system will start throwing you messages saying that there are only very few licenses. So this is one place where you can check how many licenses you have left for this task. And okay. So this is one other important part of the application. So it's called the background processor or the BGP. Um, so okay, consider this example. On payroll day, there are many managers who are going to be reviewing the time cards and they'll be making edits, right? So in that case, the background processor sometimes gets stuck, or it shows some employees have not been included in the process. So there are some so usually what you can do is, this is very simple SQL query that you can run on the database, and it will put all the employees into this BGP. This is nothing but it's going to calculate so there has to be some back-end calculations, right? If I have an in and out punch, it's going to process based on my payroll what is my amount. even though if I work for 10 hours, my payroll might be saying that if this person is going to work more than 6 hours, then cut the remaining hours. So that all there's that sort of calculation, and there'll be different calculations. This is just one small example. So there'll be different payrolls that you'll be setting up. So all that calculations will be taking place at the back end. And due to more activity and all, sometimes this gets stuck, and this is why you come and this is why you make the changes for the same. Okay, so in this setup, when you're making some uh, so when you're going to configure these things, how will you know where to start? So all these things, like all timekeeping, this is pay policies is timekeeping, attendance, you have accruals, and you have scheduler. So all these are top to bottom approach. Like you start setting up from the bottom and you work your way up towards the top. Except for forecasting, which is a top to bottom approach. Like you start from the map and then you work your way down towards the end. So we'll see some setup things. So this is the access profiles. This is basically where you set up how an employee is going to view the system. Okay, so this function access profile is going to show you what tasks an employee or a manager can perform. So for example, I have this workforce employee function, and so if you see here, uh, timestamp for employees, it's disallowed. So this person cannot, any person with this function access profile cannot timestamp. Like he cannot use the button on the screen to enter his hours. He only has to use the clock to clock in his in and out. This is one example. So if you go for manager, they have a different set of actions like add or edit or delete or view. Okay, for example. Okay, so a manager can access the people record. Like this person, any manager with this profile, this function access profile, he cannot add an employee, and he cannot make edits, or he cannot delete an employee from the system. But if I'm going to allow it, then this person will be able to allow it. So this is one example of function access profile. I'm not saving it right now. Okay, we will be going in deep in access profiles once we are done with our basic scheduling of pay policies and labor levels. So I will get started with labor levels. Okay, so this is like the first thing that you're going to do when you gather your requirements. So I have this, I have few labor levels set here. So this is top to down. So my first thing is business company. So this is the root, like this is the root. After this, I'll be having a location as my second. My third one is site. My fourth one is department. Fifth is activity. Sixth is cost center and classifications. So when you are going to refer to it,
One second. So sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. So is this the labor level is editable, customizable, or for example, I'm saying
yeah,
if
yeah.
I want my department unit as a second one,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need.
This is set up just to give you an example. Like we can delete this and you can create new ones.
Okay.
You can save this. So when you're going to see this at first, nothing will be here. It will just have one line and it's going to be blank. So you're going to determine it. So this is how the labor level will be assigned to an employee, or this is how you will actually refer to an employee. Like this is how it will be. Like it will be 7 fields together with slashes, and this is how you will be referring to that employee. I'll just do this and I will give an example of how. Cost center. Okay, so say that I'm working at a company called ABC. My ABC is the root company. So which location I am in? So I am in Tamil Nadu. which site. So which site in Tamil Nadu? I am in Chennai. Which department or unit that I belong to? I belong to engineering. Which activity I perform in engineering? I am a manager. Okay, what is my cost center? So all this information will be provided by the company. I'm just giving you an example. I hope you're able to relate to what we are trying to do. Okay, so cost center can be any identifier number by the payroll. So we cannot be sending this person and this hours, right? We have to tell them under which cost center they have earned this, like which department, say XYZ. And what is the classification? Again specific to the company. Probably we can say uh, okay, say like shift A or shift B or something like that. So how my hours will get sent is my name Nitya has earned under cost center XYZ. She's earned 30 hours for this week. So this is how the information will get sent to the payroll. Go ahead and create labor levels, and you can test it. So this is the first part. This is the labor level entries. Okay. So labor level entries is nothing but what all entries do you want to have, or what all divisions do you want? Not divisions. What all classifications are there under each labor level? So that is called as the labor level entries. So you have labor level entries in your organization because that is how you can track transfers or work time. So we have 7 labor levels over here, and you just have to select the labor level over here, whichever you want to edit. You just have to add a new name, search, so that that particular labor level gets added. You add a name and then you add to the list and it gets added. I will be sending all the instructions to you, like how you're going to add and what you're going to add. I'm just giving you a small overview. We're done with the overview. We'll be discussing this in detail tomorrow, but I'm just giving you a small recap so you can work on this. So once you create your labor level entries, this is one example of labor level entry, like, and this is my root. This is not going to get changed. Under this I can have multiple things like this, like I can have ABC Tamil Nadu. Like this I can have different things. For example, ABC, control C. I have I'll have Coimbatore, or I'll have okay, I think we'll name this as India, so it'll be easier for us to capture. India. Okay, so in India, I have Tamil Nadu and I have Chennai, and there are other departments. In India, I have Tamil Nadu and other departments. In Tamil Nadu, I'm going to have one more called Salem. And similarly, I'm going to have India. I'll remove Tamil Nadu. I'll probably say Kashmir. So Srinagar, and I'll say Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Okay, so this can be different. It can be engineering or it can be production or anything. So these are just the classifications. So suppose say that we have these 5 labor level entries, and if I have to create a manager, and that manager needs to have access to anybody working in engineering. How will I set up? So that is where we come to labor level sets. So we create a new one, we create a name, and this is where we're going to select which are labor level names. It will be coming here, like this first labor level is going to be India, so there's no change to it. So I'll just give a star to it, or a wildcard. So if so if there's a star to it, it means that it's going to pick up anybody irrespective of whatever designation is there. It's going to pull everybody there. So I'll just be changing my department unit. I'll just make my department unit to engineering, so it's going to pull all engineers. I'll save it and I'll assign this labor level set to a manager. Okay, so I'll create the list and I'll send it to you in email. So do you all have time tomorrow morning or evening to set this up or to have a look at it? That's not urgent. You can also do it at a later time, but just to practice, so we can review in our next class.
Yeah, okay. I can.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye. Yeah, bye.